next storyteller is Jacqui Hores. Hey, Jacqui. Jacqui's a native of Wheeling. She's the administrative secretary for the Academic Support Center at West Virginia Northern Community College. But her most important titles are wife and mom. She and her husband DJ share 3 wonderful children, Zach, Odessa, and Tyler. And though she lives with anxiety and depression, her love for her spirited family is what keeps her going. She will be sharing her essay titled Wake Up Call. Please welcome Jacqui Hores.
I am the girl in a tiny parochial school who just knows that when a group of classmates is giggling, it's about her. The new teenager who received a 13th birthday card from her biological father with the inscription, "I will always be there for you, love Jim," and quite literally never saw him again. The young girlfriend who is just waiting for you to lose interest and decide to move on. The friend who, even after 10 years of friendship, is certain that one day you will wake up and realize that my friendship isn't really all that fun and interesting. The young wife who tries for 15 years to do and say all the right things, all the while being made to feel that I'm not capable of independence, of setting goals and reaching them, of doing anything right. I'm the daughter who, for my whole life, lives with the fear of disappointing you, of letting you down. The second wife, who is now older and less, well, everything, and feels guilt over coming to you just in time for several surgeries and chronic pain and hormonal changes, worrying that you will decide that this more vintage model of me is not what you were hoping for. The mom who second guesses every single decision I make. It's been that way from day one and for all of your 18 years. And if I'm just a mediocre mom to you, then how can I possibly be the stepmom to your step-siblings that they deserve? Anxiety that I can never seem to please my boss. Anxiety that my son has just graduated high school and is already talking about trying to move over an hour away to be closer to his young girlfriend. Anxiety that my stepson has finally been diagnosed on the autism spectrum and worrying about what his future looks like, near and distant. Anxiety that I feel called to work in a place where I can be of service to people or children with special needs. But what kind of service? I don't know yet, but I want to make people's lives better. Maybe I will finally feel fulfilled, needed, valued. Maybe helping others will help me. I've lived with anxiety for as long as I can remember. It wasn't always debilitating, but it was always there, making me think, I can't, I shouldn't, I'll never be able. I married at 24, and we moved to Chicago a year later. A pretty turbulent, often painful 15 years followed, and ultimately I decided I couldn't remain in the relationship. So I left Chicago in 2007 with my then 8-year-old son and headed back to Wheeling, feeling like a complete failure. I'm since remarried to an amazing man, and between us we have 3 fantastic kids. But the stresses of blending our families and maintaining relationships with exes, coupled with my need for 3 significant surgeries in a 5-year period, began to trigger frequent anxiety and bouts of depression for me. There were days, sometimes entire weekends, when I would need to close myself off in my bedroom so I could weep openly without alarming my family. I would sit in my bed and bury my face, sobbing, feeling completely engulfed in a deep, dark hopelessness. My heart would hammer, and I would struggle to catch my breath, and no amount of logic could calm the sense of impending doom that I felt. And yet, I hid this as best I could from everyone. I felt weak and ashamed. And then, my wake-up call. My route home from work involves a fairly steep, curvy road, and one day as I navigated this road, first left, then right, then left, I very calmly, very peacefully thought, what if I just don't turn? No hysterics, no mania, just the feeling that the pain and the darkness would end. Then my son's face flashed in my mind, and I drove the rest of the way home shaking. The next day, I approached a colleague who has a psychology background, and I said, I need help. He handed me a card with a phone number, and that next Friday, I walked into an office, skeptical and scared, and met my therapist, my angel, Megan. I took a deep breath, and I told her my story, and she called me brave. I told her about my husband and my kids, and she called me a caretaker. I told her that I feel most peaceful outside with my camera, and I showed her my photos, and she called me an artist. It's been almost a year since that day that I walked into her office, terrified, and I truly believe that meeting Megan has changed my life. I still have frequent anxiety, but I can keep a grip. I still second guess most things, but once in a while, I can just let it go. I still occasionally find myself hit by a sudden wave of unexplainable sadness, but I don't have to lock myself away for a weekend in my room to drown in it. And when I'm navigating that windy road every day, even if it's been a really tough day, I just keep turning. First left, then right, then left, and I come home.
Thank you, Jacqui. That's a really powerful story. Thank you for sharing that.